1997, Virginia Boldea, the daughter of Dimitri Duduman, said 2 days before taking my father to the hospital, I heard his voice in the early morning hours say, I saw something. As usual, I got my recorder and went to his bedside, but he would not let me record it. I don't remember everything he said, but I would like to share with you what I can remember. My father stated, the Lord showed me a very large bear. It was as big as a building, and it began to do battle with an unarmed man. Okay, who's the bear? In prophecy, the Russian bear is who she's talking about. Do you see what I've shown you? This is how it will be when the hardships come over America. No one will be able to defend her. Only those who trust in me will be spared. Everything will start as a heavy rain on a sunny day, at a time you least expect it. There was more, but I don't remember the rest. Now, as a further confirmation, this is one of the last 3 messages given to Dimitri in April of 1997. And it's talking about the Russian bear coming back to life. Now, you see, with perestroika and glasnost, the Russians convinced the West that they were weak and powerless and that we won the Cold War and that the bear was asleep. However, that's not what the prophets say. Dimitri says, I knelt beside my bed to pray, as I do every night before I go to sleep. In other words, he prayed morning and night. He had a prayer closet like Daniel. And if you want God's protection in the trouble ahead, you better be praying the same way. After finishing my prayer, I opened my eyes, but I was no longer in my room. Instead, I found myself in a forest. I looked around to my right. I saw a man. Now, this is the angel that would come to him. I saw a man dressed in white who pointed his finger and said, see and remember. It took me a while to find out what he was pointing at. Well, it was a small bear who seemed half dead lying on the ground. As I continued to watch this bear, it began to breathe deeper. With every passing minute, it seemed to revive itself, and as I watched, it also became angrier. Then it began to grow. Soon it was larger than the forest floor, and it grew larger and continued to become angrier. It then began to paw the ground, so that when its paw would hit the ground, the earth would shudder. The bear continued to devastate all that stood in its path until it came upon some men with sticks trying to fend it off. Who's the bear? It's Russia. And who are the men with sticks trying to fend it off? Well, that's China, Japan, and many other nations. So what the prophet is saying is that Russia is actually already strong enough to defeat the Western nations. And she sits as a coiled snake ready to strike. And every time America goes over and tries to act like the big bully and overcomes these nations, Libya, Egypt, Syria, all of this is making this angry bear madder and madder. Now let's continue. By this time, the bear had grown so large that it simply crushed the men underfoot and continued to rampage. I was stunned by what I saw and asked the man sitting beside me, what does this mean? At first, they thought the great bear was dead, the man said. As it will begin to stir once more, they will consider it harmless. Suddenly, it will grow strong once more with purpose and violence. God, now listen to this, God will blind the eyes of those that continue to trample on the sacrifice of Christ's blood until the day that the bear will strike swiftly. This day will catch them unprepared, and it will be just as you saw. The man then said, tell my people that the days are numbered and the sentence has been passed. Now, what's he saying? Who is this group that says, continue upon the sacrifice of Christ's blood? Well, look, before you can trample upon the sacrifice of Christ's blood, you have to first have Christ's blood. So that would be the Western powers that know about Christ but don't follow his teachings. Know any nations like that? Okay, and then down here where it says, and this will catch them unprepared. What's that talking about? I think it's talking about those people that get caught up in the cares of the world. They don't care anything about listening to God or what God is saying through either his Bible prophecies or through his modern day prophets, and they're just living their life, and it catches them unprepared. But then he went on to say, the man said, tell my people that the days are numbered and the sentence is passed. Whoa, what is that? In other words, it's saying God has put an X on the calendar, and that is the day that America will fall, and there will be no changing the date, and there will be no delaying or getting past this sentence. In other words, the gavel has fallen, and the sentence has been passed. America will fall in 1 day and 1 hour. Then it went on to say, but if they seek my face and walk in righteousness before me, I will open their eyes so that they may see the danger approach. But if they only look to the approaching danger, they too will be caught up and trampled underfoot. Only in righteousness will they find safety. Which is why, brothers and sisters, we have to stop sinning. Now, I know that's easy to say, but sometimes it's hard to do, because we have all kinds of things we've done wrong in the past, and the devil walketh about as a roaring lion, seeking whom he may devour. He is always walking around tempting us. He knows what we've done wrong in the past. He knows where our buttons are that he can push. Now, let's talk about me, for example. Now, I have never had anything to do with smoking marijuana or taking any drugs or any kind of injections. And so in my life, to me, drugs don't exist. In my entire life, one day when I was visiting Mexico back when I was a teenager, somebody on the street stepped around the corner and said, hey, you want, I assume he was talking about some kind of marijuana. And of course I said no. In all of my life, that's the only instance I've ever had of being tempted with marijuana. And on one other occasion, I was tempted with cocaine. But other than that, and here I am 60 years old, to me, drugs don't exist. Why? Because the devil already knows what he has tempted me with, and I've already said no to that, and he's not going to waste his time trying to tempt me with something he knows I'm not going to say yes to. It's the same way with you. You may not be tempted this way or that way, but you see, the devil's got your number. Okay, he's got every one of our numbers. He knows what our forefathers stepped in. He knows what we stepped in. He knows what we swallowed, and he knows exactly what to offer us to swallow again. He knows what to offer us to step in again. And that's what he puts in front of us. Now, you take someone that has had cocaine, had marijuana, had something like that, they will quickly tell you that they are constantly being offered this. It's under their nose all the time. You see, what we step in, the devil is always offering it again. That's the reason. What we have to do is say no. The Bible says, resist the devil and he will flee from you. Now, it's not always easy, but what we have to do is simply say no, turn and walk away. No, turn and walk away. No, turn, walk away. In addition, we have to build that prayer closet relationship. Remember, what the devil is wanting is also what God is wanting. What's the devil wanting? He wants to be able to sit upon the golden throne of God called the Ark of the Covenant and command all people on the earth to fall down and worship him. So that's telling us what God really wants. He wants us to put him on the throne of our heart, to fall down and to worship him and him only, of our free will, to say, God, I want a God in my life. I choose you to be my God, and I make a covenant with you. I will read your book, the Bible, King James, and I will follow your book to the very best of my ability. And from here on out, I'm yours. I'll live my life for you. I'll do it your way. And then we can start seeing the hand of God in our life. There will be tests. I could sit here and tell you about some of the tests in my life, but brothers and sisters, the devil's always going to test you. Wherever you stepped, there's going to be another opportunity for you to step in that again. Wherever you swallowed, he will tempt you to swallow that again. We have to turn from our wickedness, accept Christ into our life, and then in the hard day, the day of trouble, the day when the blood is flowing, then is when God is going to supernaturally protect us. It's not going to be with a rapture sucking us in the ear, But maybe it's an angel that appears to you in the night and says, get up now, get out, get your family. I will show you where to go. You see, that's what we want. We want God to take care of us. Let me give you an example. It was 1998, probably about March of that year, and I was driving Dimitri Duduman around as he was speaking several different places, radio and TV stations, and as we were driving from the different locations, he would stop and tell me various stories. As we're driving down the road, he told me this story. He said, one day I was asleep on a train in Romania. About that time, I heard a loud voice. It said, Dimitri, get all of your luggage. Get off the train right now. I grabbed my luggage. I jumped off of the train. I realized that, well, this was not a train stop. This was just a quick little mail stop. So I grumbled, and I was picking up my luggage and walking down these railroad ties. He said, but as we turned the corner, there was the train. The whole train had fallen off the track, and everyone on board was killed. Now, that's the way God decided that he was going to protect Dimitri Duduman. How is God going to protect you? It's not going to be by the rapture, pre-mid, or pre-wrath, none of that stuff, but he is going to protect his own. Throughout the 6,000 years of mankind, God has faithfully protected his own. But are you his own? If not, I encourage you to ask Christ into your life today. Before I say goodbye, let me tell you that I've got a wonderful offer for you today. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to put 3 Lindsey Williams DVDs together. We normally don't even discount these, but today you can get all 3 of these DVDs for like half price. Okay, here's the deal. You get health tips. For example, no president of the United States has ever died from cancer. Well, why? You probably remember President Ronald Reagan was diagnosed with colon cancer when he was president. He imported a substance that was, at the time, illegal to be used in the United States, and he never had a reoccurrence. And Lindsey says that there's no reason to suffer from things like cancer, heart disease, diabetes, chronic fatigue syndrome, multiple sclerosis, hepatitis C, hormonal imbalance, vascular disease, immunological imbalance, and others. And that's in the $27 DVD called Health Tips from the Elite. Then, in Cyprus, the Elite Money Grab that normally goes for $38, he tells you about Cyprus, the startling real story, the American dollar, how long, healthcare, a trap, America, the world's only hope. Then his most popular DVD of late is called The Elite Plans for the Crash, and that tells you the things that you look for if you want to know what is going to happen just before the financial crash. That is a gift of $30. So if you put all 3 of them together, it values at $95. However, we're going to make all 3 of them a gift of just $40 plus shipping. You can go to prophecyclub.com, place your order, prophecyclub.com, or 785-266-1112. The Lindsey Williams gift offer.
The truth is that not everyone hears the voice of God. In John